On graduation day, my fiancée Sophia said she was going to stay at the university for the sake of her advisor. I understand. I gave her two options: call off the engagement or change jobs. She disappeared for a night, and the next day returned with panda eyes and a hoarse voice, saying, "Ethan, let's get married." I was stunned. This script is all wrong. "Ethan, I've decided. I'm staying at the school." The clamor of the graduation ceremony became muffled through the glass, turning hazy inside the lounge. Sophia stood in front of me, wearing a crisp graduation gown, her makeup impeccable, but her gaze a little unfocused. She was my childhood betrothed, the only daughter of the Taylor family, a favored daughter of fate and the acknowledged ice queen of this top university. And I, Ethan, in her and everyone in her circle's eyes, was probably the epitome of a playboy heir. All pedigree and looks, spending every day on eating, drinking, and pleasure, doing nothing respectable. I've been in this book for 3 years, transformed from a corporate drone into a top-tier rich second generation. My task isn't to defy fate, nor to punch Namsha nursing home and kick Beihai kindergarten. I just wanted to lie flat and do nothing. Just behave as a pampered scion. Wait for the plot to finish. Let my fiancée Sophia and the book's true male lead, her mentor Charles, elope together, and then I can take the huge breakup settlement and finally achieve freedom in life. I've diligently played the role of a worthless person for this day. Now, the plot has finally reached a crucial turning point. Staying at the school? I leaned against the sofa, slowly swirling the champagne glass in my hand, not looking at her, my gaze fixed on the bubbles rising in the glass. For Charles, in his early 30s, a promising associate professor, is also the typical reverse success male lead in this book. From an ordinary family, but overflowing with talent, aloof and proud, he climbed to where he is today through his own efforts. In the original book's plot, Sophia was attracted by his kind of unconventional temperament. After graduation, she defied her family's opposition, stayed on as his teaching assistant, and ultimately overcame countless obstacles to stage a drama of true love above all. And I was the one who got dumped, who helped their relationship heat up, the foolish, greasy, disposable fiancé. Sophia's body stiffened. She neither confirmed nor denied it. She simply looked away from me, her voice growing a few degrees colder. This is my own career plan. It has nothing to do with anyone else. See? Such typical stubborn denial. I was absolutely delighted. It's coming. The break-off engagement scene is finally here. I put down my wine glass and stood up. At 1.88 meters tall, I was more than a head taller than her. I could clearly see her long eyelashes trembling slightly. "Sophia, we're both adults now?" I put away that nonchalant expression. My voice kept very even. "I'll give you 2 choices. First, cancel the engagement. Given the years of friendship between our families, we'll part peacefully and remain friends." I stared fixedly into her eyes, giving her no chance to evade. Second, give up staying at the university and report to my father's company tomorrow. Pick whatever position you want. This was my final ultimatum to her. It was also the way I had paved an escape route for myself. According to the original story, Sophia would completely explode over my arbitrary and unreasonable remark, accusing me of being vulgar, not understanding her, and not respecting her pursuits. Then we would have a huge fight and part on bad terms. After this, she would go to her male confidant Charles for comfort, and under my oppression, their feelings would quickly intensify. Perfect. I had even already decided where I'd travel after getting the breakup settlement, whether to go taste authentic French cuisine or to head to Italy to study the essence of pizza. Sophia's face went deathly pale in an instant. She bit her lower lip hard, and her beautiful eyes churned with emotions I couldn't read: shock, anger, but more than that, a kind of pain and struggle I couldn't describe. Good, the emotions are in place. I waited for her to lose it. But she simply stared at me, staring for a very long time, so long that the clamor outside gradually subsided. Then, without a word, she turned and walked away. Her high heels clicked on the floor with a crisp, resolute sound, as if each step were treading on my heart, no, on my banknotes. I watched her figure disappear through the doorway, unable to stop the corner of my mouth from lifting. Assistant Alex came over, looking concerned. "Mr. Ethan, you and Miss Taylor?" "Nothing." I sat back down on the sofa, picked up my glass, and drained it in one gulp. "Get ready. We might have to throw a bachelor party tomorrow." Alex looked completely bewildered. I didn't explain. I felt so good I wanted to hum. I lay on the big bed at home and slept through the night without dreams. The next day, I was woken by blinding sunlight. I stretched lazily and felt every bone in my body loosen up. The air of freedom, damn, it was sweet. I picked up my phone, ready to see if there were any calls from the Taylors to discuss the details of breaking the engagement. But there wasn't a single missed call. There was only one message from an hour ago, sent by Sophia. "I'm downstairs at your building." I raised an eyebrow. Already time to lay the cards on the table? That was efficient. I changed into loose loungewear and shuffled downstairs in slippers. In the villa's living room, Sophia sat quietly on the sofa. She was still wearing yesterday's graduation gown, looking weary and bedraggled. Her once precise makeup was ruined. Deep dark circles pooled under her eyes. Her lips were chapped, and she looked as if all her energy had been drained away. "Looks like you had a really engrossing conversation with Charles last night." I felt secretly pleased, but kept a poker face as I walked over and sat on the couch opposite her. "Decided?" I asked. She looked up, her bloodshot eyes staring straight at me. That look was too complicated. It was no longer yesterday's anger and struggle, but something that had settled, mixed with regret, pain, and a faint plea. Her stare made me a little uneasy. What the hell happened to this girl? "Ethan," she spoke, her throat hoarse as if sandpaper had scraped it. "Let's get married." "Me?" Question mark. I dug in my ear, wondering if I was still half asleep. What did she say? Get married? Say that again. "I'm saying, let's get married." Sophia took a deep breath, as if summoning all her strength, and repeated each word slowly and deliberately. "Right now. Let's go get the marriage certificate." I was completely stunned. This script is wrong. In the original book, it wasn't written like this. She shouldn't be pointing at my nose and calling me, "You mundane fool who doesn't understand love," then dramatically throw herself in the arms of true love. Why are they getting married? Is it that my approach is wrong? Not provocative enough? You're not feverish, are you? I couldn't help reaching out to feel her forehead, but she suddenly grabbed my wrist. Her hand was cold, her fingertips still trembling, yet her grip was astonishingly strong. "Ethan, I'm not joking." She held on to me tightly, as if clutching the last straw. "I won't stay at the school, and I won't see Charles again. Let's get married, okay?" Her voice carried a hint of sobbing. That ever-imperious Sophia, who considered even glancing at me a favor, was begging me. My brain crashed instantly. There was too much information. My couch potato brain that just wanted to lie flat couldn't handle it. Where exactly did things go wrong? I looked at the woman before me, who seemed crazed, and for the first time felt the panic of things slipping out of my control. This is not the script I wanted. My plan to lie low, my culinary journey, my life of freedom, all seemed to vanish like bubbles at her words. "Let's get married." "Sophia, calm down." I tried to pull my hand back, but she gripped it tighter. Her nails dug deep into my skin, sending a sharp sting. "I'm calm." Her eyes were red. Each word came out as if squeezed through her teeth. "I've never been this calm before. Ethan, I'm begging you, marry me." I really began to question my life. A favored daughter of heaven, an icy CEO, a future queen of commerce. She's asking a playboy like me to marry her? If that line got out, it would be a contender for the funniest joke of the year. What? I frowned, forcing my brain to kick into gear. Don't you like Charles? For him you even dared defy your family's arrangement. What game are you playing now? At the mention of the name, Charles, Sophia's body visibly trembled. The pleading in her eyes was instantly replaced by intense hatred, so deep it made me shiver. I don't like him. She gritted her teeth, each word tasting of blood. I hate him. Me. Big sister, weren't you two just last night talking about life and ideals, breaking societal shackles for love? How did you become class enemies overnight? What happened while you were gone last night? I felt I had to find out. Sophia's eyes flickered. She loosened her grip on my hand and avoided my questioning. She lowered her head, her voice regaining a trace of its usual coolness. But if you listened carefully, you could still hear the tremor within it. Nothing. I've just come to terms with it. She smoothed her disheveled hair, trying to make herself look less bedraggled. A marriage alliance would benefit both our families. I was childish before. That line wouldn't fool even a 3-year-old. But my intuition, as someone who transmigrated into a book, tells me there's a big problem here. A reborn soul screamed in my mind. That's right. Only being reborn can explain all of this. Only after enduring a bitter failure can one know what they gave up back then. In the original book's ending, although Sophia and Charles, the lovers, finally became a couple, their married life was a mess. Charles's deep-seated inferiority and sensitivity were infinitely magnified when faced with a behemoth like the Taylor family. He suspected Sophia's family looked down on him, suspected Sophia's circle of friends excluded him, and even suspected that Sophia's love for him was mixed with pity. They argued constantly, tortured each other, and in the end, Charles was ruined in an academic scandal, dragging Sophia down with him and turning her into the laughingstock of the entire high society. So, Sophia was reborn. She returned to this fate-defining crossroads, carrying the painful memories of her past life. She knew Charles was a pit of fire, and I, that prodigal son she once despised most, was the real golden thigh. Realizing that, the little panic in my heart vanished in an instant, replaced by an unprecedented excitement. A person who entered a book versus a reborn one. Interesting. How interesting. I looked at her, and she looked at me. There seemed to be invisible radio waves intersecting in the air. I knew she knew I was not as simple as I appeared. She didn't know that I knew she knew. This godlike perspective granted by that information gap immediately put me on top. I watched her perform in silence, watched how she sheathed her claws and pretended to be a tame cat, trying to win back my trust. You want to get married? I leaned back on the sofa again, legs crossed, returning to that lazy demeanor. Yes, she answered quickly, firmly. All right. I tugged at the corner of my mouth, offering an amused smile, but I have one condition. Sophia's body instantly tensed like a fully drawn bow. Tell me, if we're married, then we must act like we're married, I said leisurely. My rules, you must follow them. First, after marriage we sleep in separate rooms and do not interfere in each other's private lives. Sophia's face paled a fraction. Second, I call the shots at home. When I say east, you can't go west. Her lips pressed together even tighter. Third, and most importantly, I leaned closer to her, lowered my voice, and spoke each word deliberately. Forget Charles. Erase him from your mind and heart completely. If I ever hear that name come out of your mouth again, or find out you have any connection with him. I paused, satisfied to see the fear flash in her eyes. You will bear the consequences. When I finished, I looked at her with calm leisure. These terms would be an absolute, unacceptable humiliation for the once proud Sophia. But for someone who had been reborn with regret, this might be the price she had to pay to grasp at a life-saving straw. I am gambling, betting on how deeply she was hurt in her last life. The living room was dead silent. I could hear the ticking of the wall clock, tick, 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 each beat striking Sophia's frayed nerves. After a long moment, she slowly closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, all of the emotions inside had been suppressed, leaving only a dead calm serenity. Fine, she said hoarsely. I accept. I smiled. Fish, you've bitten the bait. The game officially began. Sophia's marriage was settled in that strange atmosphere. We both didn't tell our families the details, only saying we had come to terms and decided to get it over with sooner. Both sets of parents were pleased and immediately began preparing for the wedding. As for me, I started my lie flat and slack off plan B. Since the marriage couldn't be called off for now, we just muddle through. After all, as long as I stuck to the three no's principle, don't take the initiative, don't refuse, don't take responsibility, Sophia would get fed up eventually. To keep out of sight and out of mind, I moved out of my family home and into a large single-level apartment in the city center. The view here is wide, and the decor is the minimalist style I like. Most importantly, it's very close to a hidden gem of a private restaurant I recently discovered. The place is called Suyuan and specializes in refined French cuisine. The owner is a retired state banquet chef with incredible skills. They only serve 3 tables a day, and bookings must be made a month in advance. I used a bit of financial muscle and became a regular. Today, I ordered a burgundy red wine braised beef, a French pan-seared foie gras, and paired them with a pot of peach brandy I had brought and personally brewed. The beef was braised until tender and flavorful, its aroma drifting irresistibly. The foie gras was seared crispy outside and tender inside, melting on the tongue. Then a small sip of the peach brandy, clean, sweet, and brisk, its fruit and wine aromas blooming on the palate. This is the height of life's pleasures. Sir, you have quite a unique taste. A clear, sweet female voice sounded from beside me. I turned my head and saw a girl in a simple, elegant dress standing by the table, curiously looking at the wine jug in front of me. The girl looked just over 20, with fair skin, curved brows and eyes, and 2 shallow dimples when she smiled, like a plump, juicy peach. She had a clean, warm air about her that made people feel comfortable just looking at her. This is wine I brewed myself. I tilted the glass, explaining cheerfully, I don't like the astringency of grape wine. Homemade. The girl's eyes lit up. Amazing. It smells so fragrant. Her name was Stella Sue. She was the daughter of the owner of this private restaurant, had just returned from studying hotel management abroad, and was helping out at the shop. We chatted quite naturally, from French cooking techniques to the characteristics of various Western cuisines, then to the pleasures of winemaking. I found that not only was she sweet-looking, she was a true foodie with her own unique insights into food. Talking with her was far more interesting than dealing with those socialites who only talk about handbags and jewelry. Your abs, are they real? As we got into the conversation, Stella suddenly pointed at my stomach and asked curiously. I was wearing a lightweight linen shirt today. Because it was a bit warm, I had undone 2 buttons. When I sat down, the hem rode up slightly, and the firm lines of my abdomen could be faintly seen. I was momentarily taken aback, then couldn't help but laugh. This girl is honestly and genuinely endearing. Of course it's real. I straightened my back, deliberately making it more visible for her. Do you want to feel it? I had meant it as a joke. Unexpectedly, Stella's face flushed red in an instant, but her eyes grew brighter. She hesitated for 0.01 seconds, then actually reached out a finger and very cautiously, gently poked my abdomen through my shirt. Through a layer of fabric, I could feel the warmth of her fingertips and that momentary stiffness. Wow, she seemed to have discovered a new world, her eyes wide and round. It's hard. Me? Such lecherous words. I couldn't help but laugh. This girl is so amusing. She was like a little son, warm, straightforward, utterly genuine. Being with her made me feel completely relaxed. This is the life I want. Simple, happy, full of everyday human warmth. Not like when I was with Sophia, always suspicion, testing, and cold calculation. After the meal, I exchanged contact information with Stella. She smiled, her eyes curved, and said that next time when I come she would treat me to the caramel pudding she made herself. I drove, feeling the evening breeze on my face, and happily returned home. The moment I opened the door, I smelled something burning. The living room was brightly lit. Sophia wore an obviously ill-fitting cartoon apron and was bustling about clumsily in the open-plan kitchen. The countertop was a mess. The pot held a blackened lump, unidentifiable, still emitting bluish smoke. I frowned. What are you doing? Hearing my voice, Sophia trembled all over and suddenly turned around. When she saw me, a flicker of panic crossed her face, and she instinctively tried to hide the black pot behind her. I wanted to make you a late-night snack, she said softly, her voice carrying a faint, barely noticeable tinge of grievance. I looked at her pretty face streaked with soot and that ridiculous apron, and suddenly found it a little funny. This is the business queen who once dominated the industry? She can't even manage a kitchen. No need. I stepped around her and walked straight to the liquor cabinet, pouring myself a glass of water. I want to have a midnight snack. My tone was very cold. I had to be cold. I wanted to let her know that her little tricks wouldn't work on me. Ethan. She followed after me, standing behind me, hesitating to speak. Something wrong. I didn't turn around. Where did you go today? She asked, her voice very soft. I called you several times, and you didn't pick up. Only then did I take out my phone and glance at it. Sure enough, there were 7 or 8 missed calls, all from her. I had been having a great conversation with Stella. My phone was on silent, and I hadn't noticed at all. I'm going out to eat. I replied lightly. With whom? She asked. I grew a little impatient. Sophia, don't forget our agreement. I turned around and looked down at her from above. We don't interfere in each other's private lives. She took a half step back under my gaze, her complexion growing a few shades paler. I snorted inwardly and decided to add more fuel to the fire. Besides, do I need to report to you about who I have dinner with? I deliberately slowed my speech, enjoying the color draining from her face. Stella cooks much better than you, and at least she won't burn down the kitchen. Stella? Sophia repeated the name softly, a flicker of confusion and caution in her eyes. Who is she? A friend. I tugged at the corner of my mouth, revealing a nasty smile. A very cute, very sweet friend. I saw Sophia's fist clench at her side in an instant. Her knuckles whitened from the force. Very good. Keep it up. Feel the pain, the regret, the jealousy. This is all what you owed me from your last life. In the end, Sophia still said nothing. Like a rooster defeated in a fight, she silently cleaned up the kitchen mess and then left in a dazed, forlorn state. I watched her thin, bleak figure go and felt not an ounce of pity, only the exhilaration of a great revenge finally served. In the following days, Sophia didn't bother me again. This suited me fine. I kept to my peace, spending my days either at Sioux Garden with Stella studying cuisine or sweating it out at the gym. Life was as enjoyable as being on vacation. That day, I had just finished a set of bench presses when my assistant Alex's phone call came in a panic. Mr. Ethan, bad news. Something happened. Did the sky fall? I wiped the sweat off and asked unhurriedly. The sky didn't fall, but Charles's company is about to. Alex's voice changed tone. I raised an eyebrow, suddenly interested. Tell me. It turned out that a while ago Charles had landed a large investment with a so-called original business plan and founded a tech company, riding a wave of success. But just last night, a real industry giant, Chiming Technology, suddenly issued a statement accusing Charles's plan of being outright plagiarism, attaching a detailed chain of evidence, including original concept drafts, internal meeting records, and even timestamps. The evidence was conclusive, nailed down tight. Investors pulled out overnight. Partners rushed to terminate contracts. The company's stock hit the daily limit down, and it teetered on the brink of bankruptcy. Charles fell from heaven into hell in a single night. Chiming Technology? I repeated the name. It sounded somewhat familiar. Yes, Mr. Ethan. Alex's tone was full of admiration. Isn't Chiming Technology ultimately controlled by our Johnson Group? Your move to cut off the foundation was brilliant. Without shedding a drop of blood, you've ensured that kid will never recover. I was stunned. Johnson Group controls it? How'd I not know about this? I've been such a hands-off manager for so long that I'm starting to forget how many assets my family actually owns. A few days ago, when Sophia mentioned Charles, I felt annoyed and casually sent Alex a message. Look into that guy named Charles. Make things difficult for him. I only meant to make him suffer a little, to disgust him. Who knew my crew of competitive types would be such quick studies and take it straight to the grave? Well done. I suppressed my surprise and praised him calmly. It's all thanks to Mr. Ethan's strategy. Alex's voice was so excited it was almost cracked. The guys all say, following you is just great. We're all waiting for your next instruction. Do we file for bankruptcy liquidation directly? Or, all right, do as you see fit. I cut him off. For something this small, you don't need to report every little thing to me. After hanging up, I stared at myself in the mirror, abs clearly defined, a distinct line, and fell into thought. Is this the joy of winning by doing nothing? I only moved my fingers a bit, and the people below scrambled and fought to get the job done perfectly. This feeling was indeed exhilarating. At this moment, in the CEO office at the top of the Taylor Group, Sophia looked at the news about Cheeming Technology and Charles on the screen, her hand holding the coffee trembling slightly. She knew Ethan was powerful, but in her previous life, she only realized it much later, long after he had fully taken control of the Johnson Group and become an unquestioned tyrant in the business world. She never knew that when she still looked down on him, thinking he was nothing but a playboy, he already possessed the power to turn clouds into rain with a flick of his hand. He didn't even need to appear in person. Just one sentence, one thought, could cause a rising business star to instantly fall and be crushed into mud. And in her previous life, she gave up the true dragon at her side for such an utterly feeble man. How ridiculous, how tragic. The bitterness of the coffee spread across her mouth and sank straight into her heart. She took out her phone and opened the moments of Stella that she had been staring at for days. The latest post was half an hour ago. A photo taken in a gym. A man is doing pull-ups, his back muscles smooth and beautiful, full of strength. Although only his back was photographed, Sophia recognized him at a glance. It was Ethan. The caption read, "Working out with a friend. Realizing disciplined men really do shine." In the corner of the photo, you can even see a bit of Stella's calf, wearing cute pink sneakers. Sophia's nails were almost digging into her palm. She knew Ethan was deliberately trying to anger her. He was using this girl called Stella to draw a line between them, to punish her for his past neglect. She also knew that she had no right now to be jealous or to interfere. All she could do was watch and endure. Then, in her own way, she would take him back. She dialed the internal line, her voice returning to its usual coldness and decisiveness. Legal department, get ready. I'm acquiring a company called Cheeming Technology. I had no idea what little scheme Sophia was up to. I was busy dating my little son, Stella. To celebrate Charles's downfall, I was in a great mood and rented an entire amusement park just to make the beauty smile. Wow, Ethan, look, the carousel. Stella, like a child, grabbed my hand and ran through the empty amusement park, her eyes sparkling brighter than the stars in the sky. I let her pull me along, the corner of my mouth unconsciously lifting into a smile. Being with her, I always find it easy to feel happy. We rode the carousel, played bumper cars, and even took a walk through the haunted house. Stella is timid. She screamed the whole time in the haunted house, clutching my arm so tightly she wouldn't let go, practically hanging off me. With the warmth and softness of her in my arms, I could clearly feel the suppleness and trembling of her body, and the faint scent of gardenias lingered at the tip of my nose. I'm not a saint. A certain part of my body reacted quite honestly. I shifted uncomfortably, trying to create a little distance. But Stella hugged me tighter, her small face buried in my chest, voice muffled. "Ethan, I'm scared." I sighed and gave up struggling. "Fine, I'll just consider a benefit for myself." We came out of the haunted house, and Stella's face was still pale. She dragged me to the Ferris wheel, saying she wanted to rise up high and soak in some yang energy. When the Ferris wheel slowly reached the top, the city's brilliant nightscape spread out beneath us like a river of shimmering light. Stella leaned against the window, watching the view outside. Her profile, lit by neon, was as beautiful as a painting. The mood was just right. I feel like I should do something. I leaned in, intending to kiss her. Just as my lips were about to touch her cheek, she suddenly turned her head, her bright eyes looking at me. "Ethan," she whispered, "you have a fiancé, don't you?" My movement froze. How did you know? I guessed. Stella lowered her head, playing with her fingers. People like you must have had everything arranged by your family long ago. Her voice was a little downcast, but it's okay. She quickly lifted her head and gave me a big smile. Until we've officially confirmed our relationship, we're both still free. I can compete fairly, right? I watched her pretending to be strong, and somewhere in my heart softened for a moment. Yes. I ruffled her hair, my voice involuntarily softening. You can. The Ferris wheel began its descent, and the faintly ambiguous atmosphere between us dissipated along with it. But I knew that some things were already different. On the way home, after dropping Stella off, my phone rang. It's Sophia. I frowned and put the call on speaker. What is it? Charles came to the company looking for me. Sophia's voice sounded tired, with a hint of suppressed anger. He acted like a madman, saying I ruined him, claiming I colluded with Cheeming Technology, demanding I give him an explanation. I snorted. Has he lost his mind? What does this have to do with you? I don't know. Sophia paused, lowering her voice further. But Ethan, Cheeming Technology, was it you who did it? So what if it was? I asked lazily. Silence on the other end of the line. After a long moment, Sophia spoke again, her voice carrying a complex emotion I couldn't quite place. He's making a scene outside my office right now, and the security can't stop him. I don't want this to escalate and affect the company. So, I asked knowingly, what do you want me to do? Can you come over? She asked cautiously, with a hint of pleading. I know this is an unreasonable request, but only you can make him shut up. I had originally planned to refuse outright. Not my problem. You caused your own romantic mess. Deal with it yourself. But on second thought, this might be a good opportunity. An opportunity, one that would make Sophia fully see reality while also putting Stella's mind at ease. Send me the address. I said. After hanging up, Stella beside me looked at me worriedly. Do you have something to take care of? Why don't you let me down here, and I'll take a taxi home myself. No need. I held her hand. Her palm was a little cool. I'm taking you to see a good show. Outside the president's office of the Taylor Group, a crowd of employees had already gathered to watch the commotion. Charles's hair was disheveled, his eyes bloodshot, like a trapped beast. He clawed desperately at the glass door of the president's office, his mouth continuously howling. Sophia, get out here. You witch. Why are you doing this to me? What did I ever do wrong to you? A few security guards tried to grab him from the side, but he flung them off with crazed strength. The scene became extremely chaotic for a time. I took Stella and, under the astonished gazes of the crowd, pushed through them and reached the office door. Let him in, I told the secretary at the door. The secretary paused, glanced inside, then looked back at me, and finally nodded and opened the door. The moment Charles was freed, he barreled in like a mad dog, his target the ashen-faced Sophia behind the desk. Sophia, you. He hadn't finished when I reached out and stopped him. With one hand, I clamped his throat, effortlessly lifted him, and pinned him against the wall. What are you shouting about? I tilted my head, looking at his face flushed from lack of oxygen, my voice devoid of any warmth. The person who scared me. Can you take responsibility for them? As I spoke, my other hand casually slipped around Stella's shoulder beside me and drew her a little closer into my arms. Stella felt somewhat awkward about the situation, but she obediently leaned against me without struggling. Charles's gaze slipped past me to the Stella in my arms, then to Sophia, sitting behind the desk with a complicated expression, and his look instantly twisted. Ethan, it's you again. He squeezed out the words between his teeth. You good-for-nothing who only relies on your family's garbage. What gives you the right? Why does everyone revolve around you? Why? I laughed. Because with a flick of my finger I can erase, overnight, the position you spent half your life climbing to. Is that reason enough? Charles's pupils suddenly constricted. It's you. It really is you. It's me, I admitted calmly, enjoying the change on his face from anger to shock to despair. I warned you long ago to stay away from my things. Too bad you didn't listen, I said, tightening the pressure in my hand. Charles's face had already turned the color of pig's liver, and he began to struggle futilely. Just then, the always silent Sophia suddenly spoke. "Ethan, that's enough." Her voice was very cold, betraying no emotion. I turned my head, raising an eyebrow at her. "Let him go," she said. "This is my office." I looked at her, and she looked at me. Their eyes met, sparks flying in the air. She was defending him. She'd been reborn once, and still couldn't forget this pretty boy? A flame in my heart flashed up in an instant. "What?" I sneered. "Feeling sorry now?" Sophia didn't answer my question. She simply stepped out from behind the desk and stood in front of me. She first glanced at Stella in my arms. Her expression darkened slightly. Then she looked away and met my eyes directly. "Professor Charles," she said. Her voice was quiet, but it reached everyone's ears clearly. "I'm sorry about your company being acquired. But business is like war. The victor takes all. You should understand that better than I do. As for your personal accusations against me," she paused, a cold curve lifting at the corner of her mouth. "They are utterly baseless. You and I have, from beginning to end, only had a teacher-student relationship. If you continue to make a scene here and defame my reputation, I won't hesitate to let my team of lawyers have a proper talk with you." Her words struck at the heart with every syllable. She completely severed any connection between herself and Charles. Charles seemed drained of all strength, staring at her in stupefied disbelief. "Sophia," and Sophia cut him off before he could speak, then shifted her gaze to me. "Ethan, my fiancé, we're getting married soon. I don't want to hear any more baseless rumors before our wedding." As she spoke, she suddenly reached out, took the already limp Charles from my hands as if receiving him, then casually pushed him into the arms of a security guard. "Escort him out," she told the guard, her tone brooking no argument. "From now on, this man and that dog are forbidden from entering the Taylor Group building." The whole sequence flowed like water, utterly commanding. Everyone present was stunned, including me. I looked at Sophia, who suddenly unleashed everything, took everything onto herself, and with a few words turned the situation around. For the first time, I felt something toward her other than trouble and object of revenge. This woman, even more formidable than I imagined. Charles was dragged away. Only the three of us remained in the office. For a moment, the atmosphere was a bit awkward. Can I wait outside first?" Stella tugged at my sleeve and whispered. She was very smart. She knew this time belonged to Sophia and me. I nodded, and she immediately, as if granted a pardon, slipped out quickly. The office door closed, shutting out everything from outside. I looked again at Sophia in front of me. She stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, backlit, and I couldn't make out her expression. "Just now, thank you." She spoke first, her voice a little low. "Thank me for what?" I walked to the bar cabinet beside her and poured myself a glass of whiskey. "Thank me for helping you out of trouble, or thank me for hugging another woman right in front of you?" Sophia's body stiffened. "Both." She turned around, her face already back to that icy expression. "Ethan, I know what you're upset about. In the past, I was wrong. I apologize to you." "Apologize?" I swirled my glass. The ice struck the sides with a crisp sound. Miss Taylor's apologies are really cheap. She was momentarily at a loss for words. Her face paled slightly. "What do you want?" she asked. "I don't want anything." I walked up to her, closing the distance until there were less than 10 centimeters between us. I could smell the cool woody perfume on her, exactly as it was in my memory. "I just want to remind you, Sophia." I lowered my voice, speaking at a volume only the two of you could hear. "Don't forget your identity. You are my fiancée, and soon you'll be my wife. I don't care who occupies your heart. You'd better hide it well from me. Otherwise." I reached out, pinched her chin, forcing her to lift her head and look at me. "I don't mind. Let Charles's today become your tomorrow." My threat was naked, without any disguise. Her body was trembling. I couldn't tell whether from anger or fear. A faint moisture seemed to cling to her long eyelashes. Just when I thought she would glare at me like before, or simply slap me, she did something I never could have expected. She rose on her toes, closed her eyes, and kissed me. Her lips were cool, With a slight tremor, and without caring, she pressed them against mine. I froze completely. His mind went blank. What kind of move is this? A fake wounded ploy? A seduction? Her kiss was very awkward, like a fawn with no experience at all, only able to nibble clumsily. Yet it was this very clumsiness that carried a desperate, go-all-in resolve. I could feel warm liquid sliding down from between our pressed lips, carrying a faint salty tang. She was crying. This realization struck my brain like a bolt of lightning. Sophia, always proud, always cold, never one to show weakness in front of others, cried while she was kissing me. The iceberg in my heart seemed to crack open from that scalding tear. I didn't know how long that kiss lasted, until someone knocked on the office door, and Stella's timid voice sounded outside. "Ethan, are you okay?" Only then did Sophia wake, as if from a dream, abruptly pushing me away, turning her back, and wiping her face haphazardly. I watched her shoulders heave violently, then touched my own lips that still bore her warmth and dampness, feeling a jumble of emotions. This reborn Sophia seems to be increasingly diverging from what I expected. After leaving the Taylor group, Stella cautiously watched my expression. "Are you and Miss Taylor okay?" "We're fine." I started the car and replied casually, but my mind was still full of that sudden kiss from just now. Cold, briny, laced with despair. "Ethan," Stella suddenly spoke. "Actually, Miss Taylor, she seems to like you quite a bit." I scoffed. "Like me? What she likes is the Johnson family's power, the benefits I can bring her." "No." Stella shook her head and said very seriously, "A woman's gaze can't be lied to. When she looks at you, there's light in her eyes. Although, that light is mixed with many other things, pain, regret, but at the very bottom, it's affection." I fell silent. Because of what Stella said, I found myself unable to refute it. "Also," Stella continued, "what happened today was obviously deliberate. She called you over on purpose so that you would, in front of Charles, declare your claim. She was using this method to tell that man that you are her choice." I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. Those involved are confused. Bystanders see clearly. Could it be that Sophia really... No, impossible. I immediately snuffed out that dangerous thought. I'm a transmigrant. I know the whole plot. Sophia's official match is Charles. All her kindness toward me is only because after she was reborn, she learned my worth and wants to use me to get back at Charles and change her own fate. Yes, it definitely was. I must not be fooled by her. My goal is to lie flat, to be free, to live a shamelessly happy life with a simple, cute girl like Stella. Thinking this, I turned my head and gave Stella a smile. "Don't overthink it. What do you want for dinner?" "I'll take you to eat authentic Italian food." Stella's eyes immediately lit up. Yes, yes. Food successfully diverted the topic. But that kiss was like a brand, deeply etched into my mind, impossible to dispel. In the days that followed, I deliberately avoided Sophia. She calls me. I don't answer. She texts me. I don't reply. I spend all my time on Stella. We go to the art museum together and kiss beneath the giant dinosaur skeleton. We go to the library together. He helps me reach a book on a high shelf. His t-shirt slips, revealing a beautiful set of abs that makes my heart race. We went to the arcade together. I kept failing at the claw machine, so he shoved all his tokens at me and planted an encouraging kiss on my cheek. Our relationship quickly warmed in those sweet, everyday moments. Photos of Stella and me began to surface online. The entry even shot up the trending search list. In the photo, the way I look at Stella is so tender you could squeeze water from it. Everyone says we're a match made in heaven. I look at these news pieces feeling very pleased. Sophia must have seen them too, right? She should know when to back off. However, I still underestimated her determination. That day, I was practicing boxing in the private gym at home. Alex suddenly walked in with a strange expression. "Mr. Ethan, there's a delivery for you outside." "What delivery?" I didn't stop moving. Sweat slid down my abs. It's from Miss Taylor." I froze, frowning. What stunt is she pulling this time? Throw it away. But Alex's expression turned stranger, Inside, it seems to be a living thing. I stopped, took the towel, and wiped the sweat. A living thing? I followed Alex into the living room and saw that huge cardboard box. There are a few ventilation holes punched in a box. I walked over, and as soon as I got close, I heard a little meow coming from inside. I opened the box. A pure white ragdoll cat with eyes as beautiful as sapphires was tilting its head, looking at me with curiosity. There was a delicate little bell hanging from its neck, and beneath the bell a card was tied on. I picked up the card. On it were Sophia's cool, clear handwriting. It's called Nyang Ao. From now on, I'm entrusting it to your care. Me, giving me a cat? What new trick is this? Just as I was speechless, my phone rang. It was my designated subordinate, the director of public relations at Johnson Group. Boss, quick, look at Weibo. It's trending. Completely exploded. I clicked open Weibo, puzzled. And number one on trending, glaringly, was it. I clicked in and was stunned. Some financial big V, I don't know which, had written a long post titled on the positive correlation between Johnson Group's stock price and Ethan's sleep quality. In the article, he used detailed data and candlestick charts to analyze Johnson Group's stock trends over the past 6 months. He discovered a startling pattern. Whenever news broke that Ethan, was partying, vacationing, or taking it easy, Johnson Group stock would experience a baffling surge. But whenever I became hardworking, for example, attending a meeting at the company or inspecting a project, the stock would dip slightly. The article concluded with one point. Ethan's lying flat was a sign of his extreme confidence in the company's operations team. The more he let go, the more the market trusted Johnson Group's professionalism and stability. So, the flatter Ethan lay, the more wildly the company's stock rose. He even coined a new term, lying to win economics. The moment the article was published, it detonated across the whole internet. Shit, you can play it like that? This rich heir is a god. So we want to buy Johnson Group stock, but first we have to pray to Mr. Ethan, beg him not to get out of bed today. First day back at work. Please, let me make some money. Now this is a true heir of a wealthy family. He's taken the art of employing people to the extreme. I looked at the comment section full of ha 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 and worshiped the god of wealth and was completely stunned. I just wanted to live as a lazy layabout. How did I end up becoming the founder of lying down economics? This damned nowhere to put charm of mine. The meme of lying down economics made me blow up in an absurd way, way beyond my circle. I became the most famous king of salted fish on the entire internet. Countless investors checked in under my social account every day, praying that I wouldn't try hard today either. Along with that, my relationship with Stella also received the nation's cloud blessings. Everyone thought that a divine being like me should be matched with a sweet, adorable little son like Stella. Only I knew that my heart was growing more and more confused. The ragdoll cat Sophia's scent, named Nyang Ao, completely threw off my rhythm. I originally intended to send the cat back, but the moment Stella saw it, she adored it, holding it nonstop and even buying a whole bunch of cat toys and treats. Nyang Ao was very clingy to her too, following her everywhere like a little shadow. Watching the person and the cat getting along so harmoniously, I couldn't bring myself to say no. So, the rice cake Nyang Ao ended up living in my house. And Sophia, as if she had found the perfect excuse, began coming in and out of my apartment frequently. Today she brings cat food, tomorrow cat litter, the day after that a cat climbing frame. Every time she came, she would just put things down, play with the rice cake for a while, and then leave quietly, never saying another word or giving me an extra glance. It really seemed like she was just coming to see the cat. But the more she behaved like that, the more irritated I felt inside. She was like an invisible thread, slowly, bit by bit, winding back into my life. That evening, I took Stella to a business dinner. It was our first public appearance together at a formal event since our relationship was exposed. Stella wore a pale yellow evening gown, her long hair swept up to reveal a swan-like graceful neck. The moment she appeared, she drew everyone's attention. I linked arms with her, enjoying the envious looks around us, but inexplicably felt a little emptiness inside. At the banquet, I saw Sophia. As the heir to the Taylor Group, she was naturally among the invitees. She wore a black haute couture suit, her long hair pulled into an immaculate ponytail. She looked like a sword drawn from its scabbard, sharp and coldly glamorous. She sat alone in the corner, holding a glass of champagne, quietly watching everything in the hall at odds with the surrounding merriment. Our gazes met briefly in the air. She quickly looked away, but I still saw the fleeting loneliness in her eyes. In that instant, my heart actually felt as if it had been pricked by a needle. Halfway through the banquet, the hosts arranged a charity auction segment. The finale lot was a sapphire necklace called Heart of the Ocean. Starting bid, $5 million. No sooner had the host finished speaking than Stella tugged my sleeve, her eyes sparkling as she looked at the necklace. So beautiful. I smiled and was just about to raise my card. A cool, distant voice, however, rang out across the room first. $10 million. It was Sophia. She didn't even raise a card. She merely stated a number indifferently. The whole room erupted. Everyone's gaze focused on her. The host's voice trembled with excitement. Miss Taylor bids $10 million. Is there a higher bid? Stella beside me had a slight change in her expression. I looked at the woman in the corner, who seemed calm and untroubled, and narrowed my eyes. What's she trying to do? You trying to snatch something from me? Interesting. $15 million. I held up the sign. $20 million. Sophia's voice was completely flat. $30 million. $50 million. She didn't even lift an eyelid, as if what she was announcing were not amounts of money, but a series of meaningless numbers. The atmosphere in the hall had already frozen to an extreme. Everyone could see that this was no longer a simple auction. This was a direct confrontation between the inheritors of the Johnson family and the Taylor family. Stella held my hand tighter and tighter, her palm breaking out in sweat. "Ethan, maybe you never mind," she said softly. I ignored her and simply stared fixedly at Sophia. I couldn't read any emotion on her face, but I knew she was declaring war on me. By doing this, she was telling me she had enough capital and strength to stand up to me. She was no longer that bindweed who needed to cling to me. Very good. This successfully stoked my competitiveness. $100 million. I said calmly. The entire room inhaled sharply. Even the host was stunned by the figure and momentarily forgot to speak. I saw Sophia's body finally stiffen slightly. She slowly turned her head, looking at me from across most of the banquet hall. Her gaze was complicated. There was shock, resignation, and a trace of a deep sorrow I couldn't fathom. In the end, she put down her wine glass and mouthed the words, "You win," to me. Then she stood up and, under everyone's gaze, left the banquet hall without looking back. I bought the necklace for a sky-high price of $100 million. The whole hall erupted in applause. Stella hugged me excitedly and kissed my cheek. Everyone cast looks of congratulations and envy at me. I became the biggest winner tonight. But looking at Sophia's resolute yet lonely back, why did I feel not a trace of joy at my victory? After the banquet, I placed the Heart of the Ocean around Stella's neck. The blue gem made her skin look even more alabaster. "So beautiful," I said sincerely. "Thank you, Ethan." Stella hugged me, her voice full of emotion. "This is the most precious gift I've ever received." I smiled and said nothing. After taking Stella home, I drove around the streets alone with no destination. In my mind, over and over, was the lonely silhouette of Sophia as she left. I thumped the steering wheel in irritation. What's wrong with me? Isn't she just a woman? A woman who once looked down on me and now wants to use me again. Why should I be upset because of her? As if guided by fate, I drove the car to the base of Sophia's apartment building. I didn't know why I'd come here. Maybe I just wanted to see if she was hiding alone again, secretly eating dessert, or curled up with her knees crying. I waited downstairs for a long time. By midnight, there was still no light on in her room. She didn't come back. A nameless panic gripped my heart. I took out my phone and dialed her number. Turn off the phone. I called her assistant again. The assistant's voice was anxious. Miss Taylor left the banquet and drove off by herself. She didn't say where she was going, and we can't reach her now. I felt a chill in my heart. A bad feeling surged up. I started the car and barreled out like a maniac. I didn't know where to look for her. I could only rely on instinct, racing along the routes she might have taken. The elevated bridge, Binjong Avenue, the mountain road in the suburbs. Finally, I saw her car at a cliffside along the river. The car door was open, and it was empty inside. My heart sank to the bottom in an instant. I jumped out of the car and ran to the edge of the cliff. The river wind howled, nearly knocking me off my feet. Below the cliff, it was pitch dark, the river churning violently. Sophia. I screamed hoarsely toward the river. Sophia, you fucking come out here. The only answers I received were the howling wind and the sound of the river striking the shore. Fear, like an invisible giant hand, gripped my heart so tightly I could hardly breathe. I had never been this afraid before. Afraid of losing someone. I thought I hated her. I thought I only wanted to get revenge on her. But only at this moment did I realize that, without my noticing, she had long since taken such an important place in my heart. I walked along the cliff edge, pacing back and forth like a madman, searching. Finally, behind a huge rock, I saw a curled-up figure. It was Sophia. She was sitting with her knees hugged to her chest, head buried deep in her arms, her shoulders shaking. Hearing my footsteps, she looked up. When she saw it was me, she froze, tears still streaking her face. You? Why are you here? I didn't answer her. I walked up to her step by step, then reached out and grabbed her, pulling her up, tightly, pressing her into my arms. I held her hard, as if trying to embed her into my very bones. Do you want to die? My voice trembled, carrying a fear I hadn't even noticed. Who gave you permission to die? Sophia, without my permission, you don't even have the right to die. She was in my arms, stiff at first, then slowly relaxing. She reached out, hugged me back, buried her face in my chest, and sobbed loudly. She cried like a lost child. I held her, feeling the tremor of her body and the heat of her tears, and the unbreakable iceberg inside me collapsed with a roar at that moment. To hell with transmigrating into a book, to hell with the plot. All I know is I don't want to see this woman shed another tear. I only want her to be well. That night, I didn't take Sophia back to my apartment. I went to hers instead. Her apartment was large, but very quiet, decorated in an extreme minimalist black and white gray style, just like her. I pushed her down onto the sofa and went to the kitchen to pour her a cup of hot water. When I handed her the cup, I realized she didn't even have a decent mug at home, only a commemorative cup printed with the company logo. I watched her sip the water in small mouthfuls. Her tear-streaked eyes were red and swollen, like a pitiful little rabbit. The little spark of anger inside me had long since dissipated, leaving only a dense, aching tenderness. Why did you come here? I sat beside her, my voice involuntarily softening. This is my mother's favorite place to come. She set down the cup and said quietly, after she passed away, whenever I'm in a bad mood, I come here to sit for a while. I was stunned. About Sophia's family. I only knew that her father was the chairman of the Taylor Group, but I didn't know that her mother had already passed away. In the original book, this part of the plot was glossed over. I'm sorry, I said. It's not your fault. She shook her head and forced a smile more awkward than crying. It's been a long time. A long silence fell between us. Only the wind outside the window was sobbing. Ethan, after a long time, she suddenly spoke, breaking the silence. You and Stella, are you real? When she asked that question, she was cautious, as if testing a bomb that could explode at any moment. I looked at her, at the hope and fear in her eyes that could not be hidden. I suddenly felt like teasing her. What do you think? $100 million necklace, bought on a whim. Do you think it's real? The light in her eyes instantly dimmed. She lowered her head, her long eyelashes hiding all emotion. True, she murmured to herself. She's nice, adorable, like a little son. Not like me. Watching her wallowing like that, I felt both irritated and amused. Aren't you? I retorted. You built a tottering company into an industry leader on your own. You make ruthless decisions at the negotiation table. And for one man, you would grab hold and not let go even if you had to be reborn. Sophia, you're stronger than anyone, and also more foolish than anyone. She jerked her head up and looked at me in disbelief. You already knew? What else? I shrugged. Do you think your little tricks could fool me? I watched her face go instantly pale, the shock and panic roiling in her eyes, and a nasty little pleasure in my chest was greatly satisfied. So you tried to scheme against me. So you took me for an idiot. Now you're stunned, aren't you? She opened her mouth, but couldn't utter a single word. All the disguises, all the scheming, in this moment I mercilessly exposed them. She was like someone stripped naked and thrown into the snow, helpless and disheveled. So, you knew from the very beginning that I was reborn? She asked in a trembling voice. Not entirely. I watched her with composed leisure. I just know that you're different from before. As for whether you were reborn or possessed by aliens, it doesn't matter to me. What matters is, I leaned toward her and looked straight into her eyes. What exactly do you want from me? She was driven back step by step until her back hit the cold wall, with nowhere left to retreat. Her gaze flickered, avoiding my eyes. Look at me. I grabbed her chin, forcing her to meet my eyes. Tell me, what exactly do you want? The power of the Johnsons? The future of the Taylor Group? Or do you want me to help you? To take revenge on Charles together? Each question of mine was like a knife, stabbing into her heart. She bit her lip hard, keeping from making any sound. Tears, however, fell uncontrollably like beads slipping off a broken string. No, it's not. She finally broke down, shaking her head as she cried. I don't want anything. I only want you. I only want you. She sobbed until she could hardly breathe, speaking in fits and starts. In my last life, it was my own stupidity, my blindness. I abandoned you and chose Charles. I thought that was love. But what did I end up with? Betrayal, ridicule, an abyss with no return. I died on a rainy night. Before I died, all I could think about was you. I thought if I could do it over, I would definitely. I would never let go of your hand again. Ethan, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Please give me another chance, okay? She was sobbing uncontrollably, like a child who had done something wrong and was begging for forgiveness. I watched her, listened to her heart-wrenching confession, and my heart felt as if a giant hand had gripped it tightly, aching so much I could barely breathe. So this was the truth. This was the reason behind all her abnormal behavior. Not scheming, not manipulation. Just a clumsy, remorseful person trying with all her might to make up for the regrets of her past life. I sighed, reached out, and gently brushed the tears from her face with my fingertip. Sophia, I asked, looking into her eyes, speaking each word slowly. Are all of these things you said true? She nodded hard, her eyes brimming with tears as she looked at me, afraid I wouldn't believe her. Okay, I said, I believe you. But opportunities aren't given by others. They're fought for yourself. I lifted her chin, the corners of my mouth curling up into a wicked smile. If you want me to forgive you, fine. Please me. Sophia froze. She probably didn't expect me to make such a blunt request. A thin flush immediately colored her pear blossom, tear-streaked face, spreading from her cheeks all the way to the roots of her ears. To please you, she stammered, not knowing where to look. Yes. I leisurely enjoyed the sight of her innocent, bashful expression, finding it extremely amusing. You asked me to give you a chance, didn't you? Then show me your sincerity. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, looking like a lord. Now, begin your performance. Sophia stood where she was at a loss. Her super brain that could handle 800 projects at once in the marketplace had completely crashed at this moment. Please, a man? This question is out of my league. I've never done it before. She stole a glance at me, her eyes full of pleading and bewilderment. That pitiful look made my heart itch, but I held back. I wanted to force her. Force her to drop all her pride and pretenses, and in front of me, reveal her most genuine self. Time passed second by second. Just as I was about to lose my patience, she finally moved. She took a deep breath, as if she had made some weighty decision. Then, with stiff steps, she walked toward me, one step at a time. She walked up to me and stopped. Then, to my astonished gaze, she slowly crouched down. My breath stalled in an instant. What was she trying to do? She lifted her head, and those eyes, washed by tears, shone astonishingly bright. She reached out a slightly trembling hand and gently placed it over my lower abdomen. Through a thin shirt, I could clearly feel the warmth of her palm. "Ethan," she tilted her head up to look at me, her voice light and soft, tinged with a hint of ingratiation. I'll rub your stomach for you, okay?" Me? Goddamn. I almost spit a mouthful of old blood. This was the way she had come up with in a minute to please me? Rub my stomach for me? Does she take me for a 3-year-old? I looked at her face, written all over with a sincere praise me, and for a moment I didn't know whether to be angry or to laugh. This woman is as brilliant in the business world as she is utterly clueless when it comes to relationships. Sophia. I pressed my fingers to my forehead, feeling my temples throbbing. She blinked her innocent big eyes, her hands still lightly tracing circles on my abs. "You." I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. "Do you have some misunderstanding about the word, please?" She froze for a moment, then her face went boom, so red it could bleed. It seemed like she finally realized. She snapped her hand back, like a startled rabbit, springing to her feet with her head bowed, too afraid to look at me. I didn't mean it like that. She stammered, not knowing where to put her hands. Seeing her so embarrassingly ready to crawl into a crack in the ground, I couldn't help it and laughed out loud. At my laugh, she panicked even more and turned to run. I was quick-eyed and quick-handed. I grabbed her wrist, pulled her back, trapping her between me and the wall. "Where are you running?" I lowered my head, leaned toward her ear, hot breath sprinkling her sensitive earlobe. "The game has only just begun." She shuddered all over, her whole body going limp. I watched her reddening earlobe with satisfaction and let out a low laugh. "Sophia, remember, from today on, in your world, there can only be me. Your joy, your sorrow, your body, your heart." I paused for a moment, then used my lips to lightly brush her earlobe. "They're all mine." As for Stella, the next day, I arranged to meet her and return the heart of the ocean worth $100 million to her. "Sorry," I said. "I realized I still can't let her go." Stella looked at me and looked for a long time. Then she smiled, smiling like when we first met, warm and bright. "I guess it a long time ago," she said. "It's okay, Ethan. Love never makes much sense. That you, the king of couch potatoes, were willing to give up lying flat only shows that you really love her." She paused, then added, "But we're still friends, right? When you brew new wine in the future, you must be the first to invite me to drink it." "Of course." I smiled and ruffled her hair. Watching her stride away, I sincerely felt that she was a good girl. She deserved something better, a simpler happiness. As for me, I was destined to be entangled for a lifetime with my adorably foolish fiancée who had been reborn. However, this actually isn't so bad.